Good afternoon and welcome to week 15. Yes, this week we are solving real problems for real people. And so I want to jump right in because we have a lot to cover. Our scripture this week is from Proverbs 11 and 14. And in the NIV, it reads, "For lack of guidance, a nation falls, but victory is won through many advisors." So let me tell you what kills more early stage businesses more than bad branding or insufficient capital or even poor timing all combined. It is building a solution that does not exist or that does exist, but not in the way the founder imagined it. I have watched brilliant, spirit led, deeply committed founders invest months of their lives and, in some cases, thousands of dollars building something that made complete sense in their heads and landed with silence in the marketplace. Not because they lacked talent, not because the timing was wrong, but because they never stopped long enough to ask the people they were building for whether the problems they were solving was actually the problem those people were experiencing. So they built from assumptions instead of actual inquiry. An assumption, however inspired it feels, is not a business strategy. Proverbs 11 and 14 is often applied to leadership and decision making in the abstract, right? But it is a direct application here. The guidance that prevents a fall is the guidance that comes from real people with real experience of the problems you are trying to solve with your product and services. So, victory, which is sustainable, it's scalable, it has kingdom aligned business impact, is won through the counsel of many advisors. And your first advisors are your potential customers. Yes, the actual customer is always right. So there's a difference between a problem and an assumption. Here is the distinction that separates founders who build businesses from founders who build concepts. So, a problem is something that a real, identifiable person experiences regularly, would describe it in specific language if you ask them, and would pay to have it resolved. It has an urgency, it has costs, financial, operational, emotional, relational. All of these are costs. And it keeps people up at night or it drains their energy during the day. That's what you're trying to address. And it's real enough to them that when you name it accurately, the person who's experienced it in that conversation says, yes, that's it exactly. That's what we're looking for. An assumption, on the other hand, is what you believe to be true about someone else's experience without actually asking them. It may be accurate, it could be, it may even be close, it may even be in the right direction, but it has not been tested, and an untested assumption is the architecture flaw hidden in the foundation of every product built without customer discovery. So the problem is the gap between the assumption and the actual uh, the actual problem is just having a conversation. That's all. That's all it takes. One honest conversation with one real person who has the problem you think you are solving, where you listen more than you talk. This is not you pitching your idea. This is where you will be generally curious about their experience rather than looking for confirmation of your potential solution. So, this conversation will teach you more about your market than weeks of internal planning and using AI ever will. So, kingdom entrepreneurs are particularly susceptible to this because, and I want to be specific, I want to deal with this head on because I see it consistently in faith-based entrepreneurial communities. And so we need to deal with it directly. Kingdom entrepreneurs are particularly prone to skipping customer discovery because they've had a spiritual narrative that functions often as a substitute for market validation. That narrative sounds like this: God showed me this. I received this vision in prayer. He confirmed it through 3 different people this month. I have peace about it that I cannot explain. And I want to be careful here because don't get me wrong, I too believe in all of those things. God does show us his people things, and confirmation is real. We want to hear that affirmation. And having that unexplainable peace is a legitimate spiritual experience. I've had them myself. Look for them often. But here is what those experiences are actually telling you. They're telling you that the direction is right, that you are meant to build in this space, and that the calling is real. What they don't tell you, though, is the specific shape of the solution. They do not tell you how the person you are called to serve would describe their problem in their own words. They do not tell you what features matter most to them. They do not tell you what they have already tried, what failed, and why. And they do not tell you what they would actually pay and what they would not. That information only comes from those people with the problem you are addressing, not from prayer alone, not from your internal certainty, but from a conversation with those people. So the confirmation that you received in the spirit is the starting line. Customer discovery is the first mile of the race that you're now running. So I want to make this concrete because do customer discovery is advice that you might have heard a lot in the past, but you've rarely acted on it. So I think many founders generally do not know what to do. And so we want to explain what it means in practice. Customer discovery is not a survey. Nope, it's not a focus group. It's not a poll posted on your social media asking people to vote on whether your idea is good. Those tools have their place, but they are not what I'm talking about this week. Customer discovery is simply a conversation, a real one-on-one conversation, ideally in person or on a call with someone who fits who you're intending to be your customer profile. This is where you will be asking them about their life, their challenges, and their experience of the problem that you believe exists, which is why you have created this product or service. It's not pitching your solution. You don't even talk about what you're doing. You're asking them questions about what's going on with them, what they're experiencing. And you're not asking them to buy anything. You are merely asking them to describe their problem in their own words. You don't want to give them the words, you want to hear from them. So here is a simple framework that I give founders to have these kind of conversations. When you sit down with this person, and again, this is someone who you think is having the problem that what you are creating is the answer to. So when you sit down with them, ask them to walk you through the last time they experienced the problem, not hypothetically, but give you a specific instance that they had that problem, and ask them what happened. What did they do about it? What did they try? What was the what didn't work, and why didn't it work? Uh, and ask them how much did it cost them? How much did having that problem cost them in time? Did it actually cost them money? Did it cost them stress? You want to ask them to describe the whole experience. And then ask them what would their life look like if the problem were solved. That's it. Then just be quiet and listen to them. See if they'll let you record it, but you really want to take in what they are saying. What they say will do one of three things. It will hopefully confirm your assumption with some specificity that you didn't have before. It will possibly reshape your understanding of the problem in ways that make your solution more precise, which means it'll be more valuable. Or it might reveal that the problem you thought you were solving is not actually the problem they are experiencing. And that is the real problem. The one that they described unprompted is something that's close to what you're doing, but it's not exactly what you were planning to build. All of those outcomes, any of those responses, that's good news. All three of those actually help you move forward. You have more clarity on what you should do next. You may be completely on the right track and it's full speed ahead, or you realize that you have to tweak something because they've had some experiences that you didn't account for already. Or you might find out that actually what you are making is not really what their problem is. And that will tell you either to pivot or keep asking other customers until you get some who are more aligned with what you think needs to be a solution. And that's fine too. We just have to find out. So all of these move you forward, and the only bad outcome is not having that conversation at all. It is a bad outcome if you just jump in and start making something for people who you don't even know if they need what you're making. So you want to go from being from just having an idea in your head to actually having um, language that helps you define what you're doing. So back to our scripture, Proverbs 11 and 14, which it says, victory comes through many advisors. We want to apply that language intentionally. So again, your potential customers are your first advisors, not because they know what to build, they don't. That's why you're here. But that's your assignment. But because they know what they need in a way you never will from the inside, not unless you are your own customer. These people can tell you whether the solution that you are planning would actually change their situation, which is the whole point. They can tell you whether the transformation you are promising is the transformation they actually are seeking. That's important. Kingdom impact is measured by transformation for sure, not transactions. But transformation has to be real transformation, the kind that actually changes something for the person on the other side of your offer. And the only way that to build toward that with any reliability is to understand with specificity what their solution, what their situation looks like before you arrive and offer what you think they need. That understanding of your customer situation is what turns a calling into an actual product. You have the vision, but we want to make sure that it's an offer that someone actually wants. And you're burdened about this issue. That's why the Lord laid it on your heart. But we want to see if this burden is actually a business. So it's not the end of faith that is uh, finding out this information. That is not meaning that you come to the end of faith. It is actually that it is faith that expressed through the discipline of genuinely caring about the people you were sent to serve enough to ask them about their experience before you build the solution. This is community-based problem solving where you want to get impact and you want to get um, input from your community so that you're not just forcing something on them that doesn't quite fit. You want to make something that fits their specific situation. So that's actually caring for them more than wanting to sell something. So that care expressed practically through the discipline of listening to your potential customers before building something for them is what separates kingdom businesses that produce real transformation from well-intentioned efforts that produce activity rather than actual impact. So this week, I want you to reflect on these two things. One, ask yourself, have I actually talked to the people I am building for? Or have I been building from assumption? And be honest, right? This is the place for you to be honest with yourself because what you're doing is that important. And you're children of the great high God. We're honest people. So ask yourself, how many real conversations have you had with people who fit your target customer profile? And yes, you should have a target customer profile. And this is where you ask them about the problem rather than pitching your solution. Now, if the answer is zero or fewer than five, that is your most urgent next step. If you haven't asked at least a handful of people about their situation, then stop. Don't build anything else. Don't plan any other marketing strategy. Stop and have these conversations. You must, you must talk to the people that you want to serve. And then I want you to ask yourself, how would my intended customer describe the problem I am solving? You need to have that in their words, not your words. And if you don't have that, then this means you have to go get their words. So this is a diagnostic question with real implications. If you cannot answer it because you have not asked them, that gap is telling you something important about where your building energy actually belongs right now. And if you have asked them and their description differs from yours, then that difference is not an obstacle. It is the information worth more than any business plan because now you know where to start. And that's what we want to get to. So you cannot solve a problem that you have not listened to and understood. Your assignment this week is go listen. Before you build anything else, go listen to your customers. So this week, again, I want to hear from you. I want you to tell me about your customer discovery results. And if you've already had these conversations, share that too. And if you learned something that surprised you, or if you haven't started yet, that's fine too. Now is the time to do this and have that conversation. So if you haven't started, let's try to pick a person or the type of person who you think you are creating a solution for, and then schedule some time with them, just a little 15-minute call, or take them out for a cup of coffee and just let them talk to you. That's your assignment for this week. Okay. And so, of course, this always ties into legal governance. And so, here's my tips from my executive counsel corner. And I have two, and hopefully these will be, well, I know they're meaningful, but hopefully you will actually apply them. So, tip number one, before building your offer, you want to have at least 10 conversations with people who fit your target customer profile. You're going to ask them about their problem, not your solution. What you learn will accomplish two things. Number one, it will sharpen your offer in ways no amount of internal planning can replicate. When you hear what their pain points are, you will be able to adapt your offer to that. And number two, it will produce the market validation evidence that every serious grant application, loan application, investor conversation will actually require eventually. So being able to say, I've spoken with 15 potential customers, and here is what they told me. This is one of the most credible things that you, as a founder, will be able to say in a funding conversation. It should be the funding conversation with yourself because you're already investing in this. So, having these at least 10 to 15 um, customer profile responses, this will demonstrate that your business is built on evidence and not assumptions. And funders at every level, I don't care what platforms, what environments, what communities you get into, funders will be looking for exactly that kind of information. Okay, tip number two, why this is all really important. The problem you solve should be reflected in your contracts from the very beginning. Clearly articulating the transformation that you deliver, not merely the task that you will complete. For instance, making your service agreements more specific, more enforceable, and more aligned with what your client actually hired you to produce. That's the kind of contracts that we want to get into the standard business practice of having. A contract that says consulting services, 10 hours per month, that describes the activity you're going to do. But a contract that names the specific outcome the client is hiring you to achieve, that describes the value. And clients who understand what they are buying are more satisfied and less likely to dispute and more likely to refer you to others. So the discipline of defining your transformation in your contracts begins with the discipline of understanding it clearly enough from your client's point of view or your customer's point of view that you'll be able to write it down. So those are my two tips from my executive counsel corner. Please apply them. We are building, right? We are building this year, and this is a step that you don't want to skip. All right, so next week we're going to talk about the structure of sustainable income. Yeah, we're going to get to income. That's always important. And so we're going to be discussing why financial resilience requires more than revenue. Yeah, think about that. And so we'll be talking about sustainable income next week. In the meantime, do your homework and leave me a comment, and we'll see you next week.